Hey guys, welcome to the Reparenting Daily podcast, your free daily guide for inner child healing and repairing the relationship with yourself. This podcast helps you establish a consistent reparenting routine and is divided into 3 sections. The first is a daily reading, the second is a discussion of that reading, followed by suggested journal prompts, and the last section is a peaceful binaural beats meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad that you can join us today on this journey of healing, self-expansion, and growth. If this is your first time, welcome. As a celebration of recently passing episode 500, I've opened up a free membership tier for our Patreon community. And this is so that you can access additional resources as well as join our weekly Zoom support calls for free. I understand that there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I know that so many people are really struggling. And so my hope with this is to encourage others to take up the serious work of reparenting and to offer a free community where people can do that. I'd also like to thank everyone who's been along for the journey so far. We've passed episode 550 and continuing beyond. And so this is just a reminder to you all that this is a free podcast, but if you'd like to support the project, you can purchase the Reparenting Daily Journal where you can follow us along all year. This 333-page journal gives you extra insight and resources for each week and also provides space for you to keep your notes. Another way to support the podcast is to purchase the Fairy Tales for Reparenting series, volumes 1 through 3. This collection organizes famous and obscure fairy tales from around the world into 3 phases of the hero's journey, from beginning, middle to end. While you may think that fairy tales are for kids, I'd like to challenge you. These stories contain profound truths and lessons carried down over centuries that we can use in our own reparenting journeys. It's a fun way to reconnect with your inner child. Each volume comprises 10 fairy tales. Each volume also contains an analysis section that helps you dive deeper into the message, as well as journal prompts with space for you to keep your notes. Lastly, you can also support this podcast by taking a paid Patreon subscription, by purchasing some of the books that are available on Amazon, or by donating on Buy Me a Coffee. You can find all this information on the Support Us section on the website. Thank you again for your time. And so now with these announcements out of the way, let's dive into today's practice. Today's reading is an article entitled 15 Tips to More Fully Valuing Yourself. Just as a reminder, we're in December and the theme for this month is reflecting and setting intentions. We're in week 4, which is December 22nd until the 31st. And the theme for this week is setting intentions for the new year. An important part of setting intentions for yourself and reflecting is learning to value ourselves more. This will add more, in my perspective, confidence and grounding as we begin to make our plans for the next year. And so that's why I've chosen this article for today, even though it doesn't directly reflect the theme of the week. It is a core piece of that really gives us grounding and confidence in the intentions that we're setting for the new year. That's the word that I was trying to remember. I had forgotten. Intentions. When we value ourselves, we'll be able to make more intentional choices that are really coming from that grounded place that we discussed in the other article. 15 tips to more fully valuing yourself. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt. Hey, Max here from the coaching room. Thanks for checking out my latest blog. Once you've read it, I hope that these tips can provide you with a greater ability to value you more fully and some meaningful action points that you can use to develop your emotional intelligence using the skills of NLP, and hence the quality of your own life as you have a greater experience of value for yourself, as they have helped me. Each tip will help you gain a greater awareness, an action or attitude to try on, or an opportunity for self-reflection. We're here together, working against the tidal wave of conditioning against society and culture as we recondition ourselves to experience natural value, because after all, it is our birthright. Number 1, acceptance. So the first tip is to look at what in your life can you accept about what you would like to improve the quality of your life and develop your emotional intelligence. I'm going to read that one more time. So the first tip is to look at what in your life can you accept about you that would improve the quality of your life and develop your emotional intelligence. Maybe it's something in the past, a decision, an experience, or the cards life dealt you. Part of everyone's personal development is their ability to accept themselves as they are, their light side and their dark side, to be okay as they are now. When we are not accepting of ourselves, we reject and resist. What we reject persists. In pushing something out to reject and resist it, paradoxically, we need to uphold whatever it is as we give it energy for it to turn back onto us. An example of this is someone who wants to quit smoking. If the resisting is a temptation, the urge to smoke by saying, I don't want to smoke, what they are holding in mind is smoking. And then the urge begins to grow. To be clear, acceptance is not resignation. Resignation is giving up because you've decided that there is nothing you can do, where acceptance is simply acknowledging that something has happened, or is the way it is, letting go of how it should be. In doing so, that energy that was spent to reject and resist and complain can be spent on the choice of how you will respond, adapt, and do things differently. Number 2, appreciation. The second tip is to determine what you can appreciate, celebrate, and have gratitude for about you. Perhaps it's your skills, gifts, talents, or potentials. Sometimes we overlook our amazing qualities because we are distracted by our weaknesses, trying to hide these from ourselves as well as others. Practicing appreciation for you can change the way you perceive yourself and situations by adjusting what you're focusing on. By taking the time to notice and reflect upon the things that you can appreciate, you open up the opportunity to experience emotional states that serve you, unlock vitality within you, and express kindness and compassion for you. The quality of your life is governed by the mind, body, emotional states that you experience, moment by moment. Have you ever noticed that if you're in a bad mood, how those emotions can color, shape, and inform the experiences you have as well as your behavior? If that is something that resonates with you, then I have no doubt that you have also experienced how when you're in a good mood, things don't seem so bad. So what can you celebrate about you? In doing so, you can flip your focus and realize that in reality, you lack nothing and are rich beyond words. Number 3, awe. The third tip is to take the opportunity to be aware, to be in awe of you. Given that you are a valuable, worthy, and magnificent human being, 14 billion years of evolution in the making, recognize your intrinsic value as a human being, with the universe, which universe needed to explode to give birth to you. We pick up a newborn baby who inherently can do nothing of value, and yet we in awe of them, as we see them as utterly valuable and priceless beyond words. Then they grow up and learn that somehow their value as a human being is conditional, based upon what they do, forgetting that actually their value is unconditional. That was you once upon a time. You just forgot. We all did. There is a Serbian proverb that states, "Be humble, for you are made of the earth. Be noble, for you are made of stars." You are both awesome and awful. So, if you just choose to be in awe of you, relevant to the vastness of the universe. Number 4, self-esteem is unconditional. Wikipedia defines self-esteem as a reflection of a person's overall subjective emotional evaluation of his or her worth. It is a judgment of oneself as well as the attitude towards the self. Self-esteem encompasses beliefs, for example, I am incompetent, I am unworthy, and emotions about how you feel about yourself. Researchers have conceptualized it as an influential predictor of certain outcomes, such as academic achievement, happiness, satisfaction in marriage and relationships, and behavior. Let's look at that for a moment. Self-esteem is an evaluation, judgment, and attitude towards the self, which influences our emotional states and behaviors. Who then is the one who does the evaluation and holds the attitude? You do. Conditional self-esteem is a learned, habitual, higher-level belief that we operate from with regards to conceptual, meaning they are not real, understandings about our own value and dignity. Generally speaking, learned from childhood, which so many of us carry into our adulthood lives. As children, we learn that self-esteem is conditional based upon any number of things that usually determined by our parents. Culture and society, such as looks, money, strength, intelligence, education, or status. Those who view self-esteem as conditional are constantly concerning and comparing themselves in relation to others to determine their own sense of value. So the fourth tip, as mature adults who have a higher level of emotional intelligence, is to begin to truly understand and embody that your value has human being. I'll read that again, guys. So the fourth tip, as mature adults who have a higher level of emotional intelligence, is to begin to truly understand and embody that your value as human beings is unconditional and therefore full, complete, unquestionable, so that you can operate with little ego concerns and show up in the world more fully, more you. Apologies for the air issues. I'm still a bit sick, so yeah. So number 5, self-confidence is conditional. Many people confuse self-confidence with self-esteem. While your value as a human being is given, your level of confidence is not. Confidence is generally based on competency and experience, as well as trust or faith in the level of skill or ability in a certain context. For example, I do not have the confidence to pick up the scalpel and perform brain surgery, but I do have the confidence to trust in my ability to learn how to do so, if that was important to me. Tip 5. Want to build your confidence, build your competency. If you have a higher level of confidence to do a particular thing and generally trust your ability to learn and develop new skills, you can also gain a sense of self-efficacy when you see yourself mastering skills and achieving goals that matter in those skill areas. Number 6, you are a human being, not a human doing. One point or another, we've all questioned our own value, or perhaps our value was questioned by others. We've been raised in a dysfunctional society that has raised us to tie our value on what we do or what we have. In NLP, this is referred to as a distortion in our conditioning, to take our extrinsic capacity to do something and tie it with our intrinsic worth as human beings. When we falsely identify with our behaviors to mean something about who we are, we then falsely identify with our behaviors to mean something about who we are. If we fail, we become failures. If we succeed, we become successful. I cannot do something and therefore I am incompetent. But the truth is, your value as a human being has zero to do with what you're doing. A baby does not judge itself, nor do we judge a baby about his or her ability to stand up or walk. Then we grow up. They do grow up, however, conditioned to think that they are worthy of their parents' love only if they live up to their expectations. These messages create a sense of human doings in which their value is overly connected with their accomplishments, and after internalizing these distorted perceptions, forms the basis of their own self-love and sense of self-value, loving themselves only when they have done something successful, and self-loathing if they have not. Number 7, stop confusing excuses with explanations and reasons. Sometimes we excuse ourselves from excellence, living out our intentions by realizing our potential. The more intelligent a person is, the more elaborate the excuse, so much so that it sounds like a legitimate reason for not doing what is important to us. We excuse ourselves from stepping into our potential because we fear what it might say about us and damage our sense of value if we fail. If our value is conditional based upon what we do, then we create excuses to protect our self-esteem by procrastinating, not attempting, or pretending that it's not important. The beauty of making excuses, or not trying too hard, is that if we fail, we can say things like, it wasn't a true reflection of our abilities. On some level, creating excuses is a rational strategy. The problem with creating excuses, however, is not giving yourself the best chance of achieving what you want and therefore not getting the best result. And it all lies in your value as a human being conditional when it's not. You can, however, choose to preserve the reasoning in the excuse, the positive intention, or any point that might prove useful, and let go of the empty shell of an old, worn-out excuse to realize what you want. Number number 8, have compassion for you. The 8th tip is have compassion for you because it isn't dependent on external circumstances. It's always available. Research indicates that the ability to have compassion for yourself is associated with a greater level of emotional intelligence and a higher level of awareness, more caring relationship behavior, a happier existence, as well as less narcissism and reactivity. You are the most important person in your life, and you alone have the power to determine your sense of value. You are a valuable human being simply because you exist. It does not matter what mistakes you've made in the past, or where you're from, what you do, or what you have. You are still a worthy person. So have compassion for you. Even making mistakes is valuable. You use them as feedback and learn from them. Adjust accordingly. Do not, however, use them as a measure of your worth and value. As a human being, you are perfectly imperfect, infallibly fallible, pure perfection, trying to perfect itself. You have the capacity and right to feel compassion for yourself, because all human beings not only deserve but desire compassion and understanding, not because they possess some particular set of traits, pretty smart, talented, or rich, but because we are human. If you're able to have compassion for you, you don't have to feel better than other people to feel good about yourself. Nor do you need to make excuses for your personal failings or shortcomings, which can actually be acknowledged with kindness instead of being hidden or excused. Number 9, be with reality as it is now. In NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, there is a presupposition that states that we deal with a map of reality, not reality itself. However, the map is not the territory, and so we abstract reality by thinking and feeling something about reality, and we can do this upon thought and feeling forever. The more we do it, the further we get from reality. The further we get from reality, the larger the gap, the larger the the greater the emotions we can experience. To get where we want to be, the only place to start is where we are now. We can accept our current reality and own it. We can then respond accordingly. It takes practice and awareness to really see how we keep taking ourselves from presence. When we are responsible for ourselves and recognize we are in control of our life, we no longer feel the unresourceful emotions that get in the way of what we want. Living in the past can lead to regrets, and living in the future can make us feel disappointed or anxious about the present. This moment, right now, is the most important time of your life, so be here. Number 10, let go of old beliefs, frames of mind, and habits that do not serve you. In your NLP training, you can learn that your personality is a byproduct of your conditioning and a collection of habits. Our past and present experience play a key role in how we develop. If there is a negative programming, then it is likely you will identify with a lower sense of value. Through learning NLP and developing your emotional EQ, intelligence, you can gain awareness of the frames of mind, habits, and beliefs that you hold about you from your past which do not serve you. So what is it you could let go of? Beliefs about not being good enough, or even if I have money in the bank, then I'll be a person of value. The habit of self-sabotage or comparing yourself to others, or frames of mind, like what I do is who I am. These beliefs, frames of mind, and habit that we hold can be valuable, perhaps at one point, as we constructed, created, and used them to operate and make sense of the world as a younger self. However, they have nothing to do with now. One of the biggest frames of mind that you can let go if you choose to, is that your value is conditional based upon external factors. Believe me. Don't believe me? Try it for yourself. Number 11, step into your potential more fully. In order to lean into your edge, and falling into love with the possibility of you means letting go of the probability of where your past determines your future. Living to the probability of you is doing what you've always done and getting what you've always got. But it doesn't have to be that way. We are conditioned to be fearful to the possibility of ourselves and embrace the struggle. Society values struggle and calls them resilient, as it gives people credibility in society. Despite all your hardships you've made, the stories of success through hardship where if you haven't seen enough adversity, you can't be worthwhile. It's easy to become stuck or lost, feeling that you're not progressing or growing as a person, sitting inside your comfort zone relative to where you are and where you want to be. The uncomfortable truth is that growth exists outside of your comfort zone, and your potential can only be realized now in this moment. By stepping into your potential and the possibility of you more fully, there is freedom from habits and the power to respond and choose based on what is true for you now. Number 12, live intentionally. If you are ready to use NLP for your own emotional intelligence and personal development, set your intentions. If you intend, you become. Intentionality builds meaning. Your meaning derives your performance. If you're doing something that is important and meaningful to you, or rather than seeking approval of others, does it feel like work? Do you need to motivate yourself to do something that you're passionate about? Don't get me wrong, just by having and holding intent doesn't mean that those things will magically work out for you. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when you're holding intent, you're more open to seeing opportunity and responding in new ways rather than habitual ways. The intent you hold about what you do will direct your intention and energize you accordingly, filtering what you can pay attention to as a frame of reference, which governs what you do, and can act as a motivational energy charge, a movement from inside to complete the goals you set for yourself. This is one of the simplest goals in NLP, to run your own brain and deliberately program your reticular activating system to pay attention to what you intended. Live life on purpose. Number 13, basic trust. Reality has its own intelligence, far more intelligent than any person can be. Basic intelligence is the embodiment of the highest form of emotional intelligence, of the understanding that everything is going to be okay. Basic reality, because reality will unfold as it will, and resisting reality is like standing on the shores of a beach trying to hold the tide from rising. If you don't have basic trust, you will react to feelings and thoughts that arise within you. Given your conditioning, where your value is conditional based on the external world, you won't let yourself be present. Instead, you'll experience this tenseness and contracting. Without it, we live our lives defensively, in conflict with others and with ourselves. To find our basic trust is to reconnect with our natural state that we have become separated from. To have it is to be courageous and authentic, to be able to take risks instead of sitting on your capacities and making excuses. You engage in life wholeheartedly, doing what feels appropriate to you with the confidence that it will work out. Without much basic trust, you are paralyzed with fear of failure and fear of rejection. Number 14, stop comparing yourself to others. Everyone is different, and we're all at different places in our growth and development. It can be damaging to our sense of value when we look at others who have everything we don't, or when we compare ourselves to people with different creative gifts and talents. Most of the people I talk to who compare themselves to others do so easily, either as a motivational strategy to improve themselves or to make themselves feel better about their sense of value by perceiving someone else as having a lower sense of value. Either way, this is predicated on the assumption that your value is conditional based upon other people and is a fruitless attempt which will only result in feelings of extremely high value on some days and equally low values on other days. When we compare ourselves to others, we don't do it fairly. We criticize and judge others and give ourselves based on our own criteria, which is made up anyway. The process itself has nothing to do with reality, but our own map of it. As explained in tip number 8, the further the gap between the map and reality, the greater emotion we experience. The further the gap between map and reality, the greater emotion we experience. The thing is, we've learned to compare ourselves with others in a society that teaches us to do so. Given that, you can't unlearn and stop comparing yourself to others to determine your sense of value. How? Number 15, choose. This is the last one. When we are committed to our own well being and evolution, and personal development and emotional intelligence, we begin to recognize the harm we do to ourselves and others by seeing value as conditional, the ways in which we can denigrate into lower levels of health, and so we can decide to stop and do something different if we so choose. Physiological, biological suffering is a given. We'll experience physical pain and age. For a healthy human being, psychological suffering is not a given. It's a choice. It is in our power as human beings to choose to take responsibility for our own thinking, feeling, speaking, and behaving. But let's be really clear. The words on this page can inform how you can value yourself more fully. But the only person who can really make that happen is the person listening to this. And that's you. Thank you. That's the reading for today. This reading cuts straight through the noise. Self-value is unconditional, but most of us were trained to believe the opposite from childhood. From childhood onward, we learn to tie self-worth with performance, approval, productivity, comparison, and doing. The result, chronic self-judgment, excuses to project or protect a fragile self-esteem, and a nervous system always on trial. The author dismantles that distortion by separating being from doing. You don't earn value, you express it by existing. A major through line is responsibility without self-attack. Acceptance is not resignation. Compassion is not weakness. Confidence grows from competence, not self-worth. When you stop resisting reality, stop comparing yourself to others, and stop using excuses to protect a conditional self-worth, you free up enormous energy. That energy can then be used for learning, growth, and intentional action. Letting go of outdated beliefs, such as I'm not good enough or my value depends on success, isn't just self-help fluff. It's psychological hygiene. The final message is blunt and empowering. You always have a choice. Psychological suffering is optional once you recognize that your value isn't up for recognition. Intentional living, basic trust in reality, and stepping into your potential requires courage. But they're impossible if you're still trying to prove you deserve to exist. When you choose to value yourself fully, you stop managing your worth and start living your life. As we go into the journal prompts today, number 1, in what ways do you still tie your value to what you do, achieve, or avoid failing at? And number 3, what beliefs about yourself once helped you survive but no longer serves who you are now? And number 3, if you truly treated your value as unconditional, what would you do differently this week? That's it for today. As always, thanks for being here. Take care of yourself, and please do be well. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please go ahead and find a space where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for this 10-minute silent meditation. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you comfortable today. Take a moment to simply be with yourself. Focus on your breath and gently connect with each part of your body. If thoughts arise, don't let them overwhelm you. Just observe them without attachment. Imagine them as leaves drifting down atop a river, passing by without needing your engagement. Stay present, grounded, and open to this moment. day.